be the major change. I would point out, though, that Costco representatives talked about the 4 things that the residents wanted. I think we're all fairly familiar with those: the retaining wall, the stormwater detention design, and the additional landscaping. All 3 of those were added to the site plan, part of what staff reviewed. So that all was taken care of, and we're still in the process of coming up with a plan on the remediation on the ditch or conveyance or whatever you want to call it. But they're still committed to doing all those things.
Chris, did the main floor elevation, did it change with this building? Did you have to raise the site to get everything to flow to the back?
Not to my knowledge. I think that site, that finished floor elevation, has been there since day one. It was,
okay,
it
so
was
it had,
really,
so the building, the actual placement of the building, nor the elevations of the building
right.
hadn't.
It was really a function of where we could start the fill on the northern boundary that dictated what we could put back there.
Okay.
Ruth, in the complete the drive relocation plan prior to the plan, but does that mean that the road won't necessarily be changed physically by the time issuance of any certificate of occupancy?
No, it will not be done by the time a CO is issued on Farlow Drive.
Do you have a date that's going to come about?
Something that Knox County is working on, and from what I understand, I was involved in the design of the road. We went ahead and offered up as a part of our overall design of the facilities on Kingston Pike and Level Road. We went ahead and had our engineers help design the Farlow intersection for the county. That design has been done. The county's approved all that, and as far as I understand, they are involved in the right-of-way acquisition part of it now. So it very well may be done in conjunction.
What I'm seeing, it looks like actually a small roundabout. Is that, am I interpreting that right?
Gosh.
Or is that still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, I'm not positive because I haven't got
okay.
through the acquisition yet.
Obviously, roundabout requires more land,
but
so
it definitely is a change of the pipe.
Any questions or comments?
Hi, Tom Ross Seal. I'm here on behalf of the residents of Hall Acres. One comment and one question. The comment is the residents want to thank Costco for making the changes that we requested, which is the 200-year flood retention pond, the additional landscaping, the improvement in the drainage ditch, which I guess still needs to be fully ironed out, and the retention wall. So again, certainly I see Jeff's here in the audience, and again want to thank him and Costco for making those changes. And the second thing is a question actually has to do with the retaining wall. We didn't see what the color of the bricks were, and I have a feeling they're earth tone in some way, but we just wanted confirmation of that. I don't know if Chris, you know, or Annette, if she's here. Tannish? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. And I guess we'll be still have a few things to iron out, but I'm sure we'll get them done soon. Thank you.
Mr. Newton, do you have any, you have gone over these 8 requirements and you're in agreement with those?
Ad nauseum, yes. So we're very good to go this time.
Clarify, is that approve it?
We're good to go.
Thank you.
Have you memorized them?
Any more questions or comments? Not, do I have a motion?
I would move for approval with the subject twos being taken care of.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Item number 7, discussion and public hearing of the site plan for Walgreens, 10713 Kingston Pike, located on the northwest corner of Kingston Pike and Level Road, parcel 34.01 and 35, tax map 131, 1.3 acres, zone C-2, to modify access and parking lot, SM&M Properties. Chris Wooten, applicant.
This was also reviewed in July, and really what ended up happening is when Walgreens reevaluated or looked at it closely, they have large delivery trucks that come in this direction, and TDOT definitely put the right in, right out requirement here, as they said they would. And what the Walgreens folks said, you know what, since our trucks aren't gonna go this way, they really wanna go back this way, they have to maneuver around up this way. And so what happened was that with the way it was designed, there just wasn't adequate turning radius to accommodate that. And so they had to eliminate some of this curbing here and move it back right in through here to give the trucks the swing room that they needed so that they could come around up through here. Staff is recommending approval of this site plan, subject to submitting an irrevocable letter of credit for erosion control for $5,000 and meeting all town requirements.
Questions or comments? And you're fine with the subject to? Have a motion?
I'll move to approve the site plan subject to staff's recommendations.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you again. Discussion and public hearing on a request to amend the text of the Farragut zoning ordinance, Chapter 2, definition to define medical spa, Chapter 3, specific district regulations to permit medical spas in commercial and office zoning districts. Stacy Handel, applicant.
In your packet is a copy of Resolution PC 1112, which recommends approval of Ordinance 1121 and the zoning ordinance text amendment to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And last time we went over in great detail about how's the best way to figure out this. And what we decided was that we would define medical spa, and then we would say that it was an allowed use within the within the commercial districts and within the office district, with the restriction that it specifically be limited to 1,500 square feet. I made a stab at the definition, sent it to Stacy, and she made some good comments on there, caught an error. And we came up with the definition of establishments primarily engaged in non-surgical elective cosmetic medical treatments, massage treatment therapies, hair treatments, and nail applications with a minimum of one medical professional retained on staff. Such establishment shall be regulated and licensed by the State of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance and the Tennessee Department of Health. I think what this does is it definitely, per facility, meets this definition requirement. And then with the rest of the regulations, with adding medical spas within the C1 district, C2 district, the O1 district with the cap, and then the TCD district. The way the other districts are written, TCD was the only one that needed to be included in that. So I don't know if Stacy has any comments on it, but we recommend approval of it. I think we meets her needs.
Anyone have any questions?
No, I do have a comment, though. I want to thank you for your patience in working with us, and I want to thank you for educating us on this.
You're very welcome, and
yeah.
I thank you as well as for you spent a long time, several of you, 2 times, learning a little bit about my business and what I wanted to achieve in development, here with relocation. So appreciate that very much.
Have a motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Seconded. You're echoing.
Thank you. We appreciate your help. Thank you.
I didn't know you could probably hear me.
Stacy, as a reminder, you do need to get your permits, so be sure you get your architect onto that. And
I'll be happy to do that.
so make sure you, because once you get through this process, you want to make sure that that aspect of it is done also.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I think, is it next week we have a special call meeting with Mayor Alderman?
Actually, you were on their agenda next week.
Yeah, next week? Thank you.
Regular agenda.
Regular agenda, thank you.
Discussion and public hearing on amendment to the Farragut zoning ordinance, Chapter 4, Section 24, Special Events Permit.
What is in your packet is Resolution PC 1113, which recommends approval of Ordinance 1122 to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and the total rewrite of the special events permit. We have spent a fair amount of time on this and have had several workshops on it. Last month, we kind of hammered it out, and hopefully the ordinance 1122 spells out exactly what we talked about at the meetings. I know that we by far spent the most time talking about the commercial office end of things, but I did want to point out that as a reminder that this does not just affect them but also the residential and churches. One of the things I would like to add is at your places I included a revised ordinance 1122, and I've highlighted in orange the change that I am recommending, and this was kind of an afterthought that Mark and I were talking about, that even though it says it elsewhere in our sign ordinance, we wanted it to be very clear in our special events permit ordinance. It is the same wording, and it is added to all three sections under the signs section stating all signs and associated support posts shall be removed at the end of the special event. That is logical. You would think that would be kind of expected, but we wanted to clarify just for everybody. And so I just wanted to point that change out to you. So we are recommending approval of ordinance 1122 with that minor change. But what I included in here that we didn't talk about a whole lot was the not-for-profit and non-profit entities having special events on private, like in commercial areas and things like that, and that the only requirement that they're sponsored by an on-site entity, and that we don't want these on vacated properties. Also to clarify, or that we didn't spend a whole lot of time about, is like neighborhood functions, that a neighborhood association can also get a special event, and it can be on their common area or whatever. It's just that the requirement that the common area can accommodate whatever the special event is that they are proposing. We don't want to get a bunch of complaints from the neighborhood because a few people organized something and kind of took control, and there was not harmony in the home front. But
Can I ask a question about that now? Is that like they decide to have a 4th of July picnic, or are you talking about something that's more of a fundraiser?
kind of like what Fox Den did a couple of weeks ago, where they had the
Fall picnic or
Fall
something.
Fest.
Yeah, fall.
Yeah, something like that. Fox Den Fall Fest, where they had, the big blow up, kid bouncy, slide down.
So
that
basically any large
something
gathering.
like that, where you're drawing more than, it's rather than just your swimming pool and, your normal kind of attendance, that your whole purpose is to draw people in as a neighborhood, as event gathered. If you're having it at your clubhouse, for example, chances are it's not something you'd even need a permit for because it's at your clubhouse. So it really kind of depends on what it is you're doing, what kind of facilities the neighborhood has, that sort of thing. In the case of the Fox Den, that was done on that open space there that's between Kingston Pike and South Fox Den Drive, or Fox Den Drive. I can't ever keep those straight with those road names in there. And then also with churches, we didn't really talk a whole lot about their sign things, but obviously we didn't put the Shop Farragut logo requirement on them. So they went with a 16 square foot sign. And also we had talked about the information that we needed whenever they had special events, not